spend one night in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin with me while making the absolute most of our time. So we got into town around 1 p.m. and headed over to Yerkes Observatory, aka the world's largest refracting telescope. We didn't have a chance to go inside, but honestly this place was super impressive from the outside too. Afterward, we went down the street to check into our hotel at the Abbey Resort. My jaw honestly dropped when we entered the harbor view room. Just look at how peaceful this view was. After exploring the resort a bit, we went back downtown to Lake Geneva to do a little self-guided food tour. We started with guacamole and margarita flights, and then went to catch the sunset over the lake, which never fails to amaze me. After this, we went to Magpie's, which had a super cute patio, and we got fried pickle wontons and Nana's meatballs. Now, I'm obsessed with pickles, but I have to say Nana's meatballs won this round. They were so good. We headed back to the Abbey after this, and I found this charcuterie board surprise waiting for me in the room with a handwritten letter from the Abbey, which was so sweet and just the perfect addition to our rounds of appetizers that we were doing for dinner. We grabbed a nightcap at the waterfront restaurant and bar in the resort, and then brought it outside by the fireplace to enjoy under the stars with some new friends. It was just the perfect end to our night. The next morning, we got up at sunrise, and I audibly gasped when we opened our blinds to the harbor. I was so excited that I ran outside in my pajamas without socks on to get this video. It was unreal. We went back inside to Cafe Latte inside of the Abbey to get pastries and coffee, and then headed down the Geneva Lake shore path. We walked about 2 hours out and back along the shoreline in mansions. The fall colors were going into peak, and it was just such a magical morning. We checked out of our room once we got back and then headed down to their Avani spa. I tried their new Bois organic scalp ritual treatment that almost put me to sleep, and I came out with glass hair. Look how shiny this was just one day after oiling. After soaking in all the spa amenities, we headed back downtown to Lake Geneva for a few final stops. The first one was at the birthplace of Dungeons and Dragons. They have the home where the game was created and first played in town here, and you can tour it, game there, and even stay overnight at the house connected to it. Then we popped over for lunch at Next Door Pub, which honestly, if you have picky eaters in your group, this should be your go-to because the menu was never ending and the food was so good. We tried to walk off our food coma in Bigfoot Beach State Park after this, but the weather wasn't looking too inviting, so we just called it quits. We fueled up for our road trip back home at Inspired Coffee, which is a cafe that employs people with disabilities to fully integrate them into a work setting, and I just think that's so cool. So I hope you can get to some of these stops in your next trip to Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, but make sure to follow along on here for more local tips as we go.